Hello all, this is another recording for CSCI-150 and the topic for today is going to be strings. As usual and as has been highlighted so far, please make sure that you've done the readings, the assigned readings and the exercises before watching this video. Okay, at the very top we have some examples that illustrate how programming languages in general and Python specifically in this case handle strings. You probably already know that you are able to use something like Excel spreadsheets to sort data tables by names, for example. So programming languages must somehow be able to figure out which string values are larger than other string values. So looking at the very top, I'm going to copy these three lines and then paste them over here and then run the program. You could see that when I asked Python, which of those two strings is larger, ABCD versus ABD, it said that ABD is indeed larger than ABCD. Okay, so this is the evaluation, or this is the expression that was evaluated to true. And then the same thing over here, AB space CD versus AZ. AZ turns out to be larger. And then finally, ABCD is larger than ABC. The way string comparisons are handled in programming languages is the comparison starts from the left in both strings and then proceeds to the right until one of the two strings or one string has a character that's larger than the other one. So the A matches the A over here, the B matches the B over here, and then the C is less than the D alphabetically, it means it occurs before it. So it will stop evaluating and it say ABD is larger. The same thing here, AB space versus AZ, AZ would be larger. And then ABC matches ABC, but there's an extra D in here, which is larger than nothing. And the other string, so it will evaluate ABCD to be larger. So this is just FYI. The second thing we'll look at here is using some important string functions. So suppose I've got this string which contains some store names with ton of spaces, ton of white spaces, including \n, which by now you should know that this indicates a new line character. So when it occurs in a string, this is interpreted as a new line, which is why when I asked the program to print the string store names over here, it displayed Target, Walmart, and then after TG Maxx, it created a new line to display the rest of the string. So I displayed the string and then followed by the length of the string, which has a total of 80 characters. Now going forward, we've got a few problems that we're going to try to work on. The first one is what we want to do is use the find function as well as string slicing to figure out the first store name. So basically what we need to do is, given any string, I want to extract the first store name, and that would be basically the name that occurs before the first space. So what we're going to have to do over here is use the find function to find the index or the location of the first string. So I'm going to say store names dot find single space. So find me where single space occurs. It should tell me over here. So that would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. It should tell me that the first space occurs at location 6. Let's print that. And then I want it to tell me, okay, give me all the characters from the beginning up to, but excluding the location of the first space. So that would be the first store would be store names, and then I want everything from 0 all the way to the value of index, which won't include location 6. And of course, if you're starting with 0, you can also So I'm gonna run this now down here. Okay, it's going to give me 6. Oh, we forgot to print the first name. So let's try that again. Okay, and that would basically give me the string target, as you can see over here, which is pretty interesting. Now, one of the things you should keep in mind is sometimes you might be looking for a character or more, a substring that doesn't exist. So suppose, for example, I wasn't looking for a single space, I was looking for a space followed by a $sign followed by a percentage sign. Okay, so if I were to now try to do the same thing, enter, it's going to give me -1. When the find string method returns -1, it means it did not find whatever you're looking for. So this is another thing to keep in mind. Okay, the second problem here is very similar to the first one. So I'm going to copy the first one, but it's asking me to find the last store name in the string. So again, the string that we have is this one over here. And I want to find the last store name. So now I want to look for the last space and get all the characters after that, the location of the last space. There is a similar function to find. Find first the match from the beginning. rFind, reverse find, finds the match starting at the end and going backwards. So rFind is going to find me the location of the very last space, which would be this one over here. And then I want all the characters. So in this case, last store is going to be all the characters in store name, starting from the index +1, because I don't want to include the space, going all the way to the end. And then if you're going all the way to the end, you don't need to specify the end location. And then now print last name. So now if I were to run this, it should give me holiday. Last store would be holiday, as shown over here. Another important string function is split. Split allows me to take a string and then divide it by certain separators, creating a list of matching values. So for example, if I were to do something like store list would be store names dot split on default, so without specifying any particular characters, it's going to split on everything that's considered to be a white space, which includes single space or more, tabs, new lines, and what have you. So we'll do that and see what we're going to get. Okay, so it basically extracted from the stores, extracted all the names, excluding space and new lines and tabs. So it came up with this list. Now you could treat this list as a list of values, comma-separated values that you could manipulate however you want. But that's a topic for a different recording, so we won't go into more details over here. You could do the same thing, but now when you split, store all the names in lowercase. Okay, so I could do something like, for example, store names lower would be store names dot lower. That will create the lower case version of the store names, and then I take the lowercase version and then split it by space to get what I'm interested in. So I can try it over here. And then as you can see, store names lower now is this string, and then the store list contains the same names as before, but all in lowercase. Moving forward, before I do that, you can make multiple calls at the same time. So for example, instead of doing it the way I did it over here with 2 steps, I can do something like this. I can say take the store names, convert it to lower, and then take the lowercase version. So take the store names, convert it to lower, and then the output of that, split. Okay, so this is a cascade of function calls. They are evaluated right to left. sorry, left to right. So this should give us the same output as the one that we're seeing over here. I should probably try that. Okay, and notice the output did not change. The last two parts over here just demonstrate, well, the part 5 demonstrates the strip function. Actually, before I do that, you can split on other than space. So for example, suppose you say, I'm gonna split on A's. Okay, so now every time it finds an A, it creates a new entry. So the entries in the list are gonna be completely different than what we have. Okay, so basically T, it found an A, so it split T and or get would be separate all the way until it finds the A in Walmart. So you could split on whatever you want. It doesn't have to be spaces, but for now, white spaces is what we're interested in. Strip function removes whatever characters you want to remove from the beginning and from the end. Of a given string. So if I have this strings, I'm going to clear over here. So suppose now this is my string. It's the same as the one before, but let's do it one more time, but without the new line. So notice there are spaces at the beginning and then spaces at the end. And if I were to strip my string and then so I take store names and then strip it and then print store names, you're not going to get what you expect. It's basically going to give you the same exact thing as before. And the reason is that strings in Python are considered to be immutable objects, which means that when you apply a function or a method on the string itself, it does not update the string. In order for it to update the string, you're going to have to say store, like here. I'm going to have to say something like this now. So instead of just saying store names.strip, which does the stripping, but you're not capturing it. So when you print store names, you still have the old value. This one over here takes store name, strips it from spaces, and then stores that in another variable, or it could be the same variable if you want, called store names too, and then you print store names too. Then now you're going to see one that doesn't have spaces at the beginning and at the end. So this is important to keep in mind. Again, strings are immutable. That's why they behave like this. You don't have to strip on space. You can strip on whatever you want as long as they occur at the beginning and at the end. Now notice that my string over here, store names, doesn't start with percentage, not percentage sign, with dollar sign. Okay, so if you try to strip dollar signs from the beginning and the end, nothing is going to happen because there are spaces before them. So the way the stripping works is start at the beginning. Once you find a non-dollar sign, in this case, stop. So the first character is not space and not dollar sign. So it stops right away. The same thing going backwards. In this case, if you want to get rid of dollar sign and spaces, you could tell it strip on both, and that would be a different story. So now any combination of dollar sign and space, you're stripping on. So it's going to get rid of all of those at the beginning until the letter T, and then going backwards until the letter Y. And then you get this string over here. So there you have it. This should take care of recording for strings. The last one, actually, there's an additional exercise that I paid attention to, is how do you loop over the characters in a string. The easiest way is to use a for loop. So you could say something like for char in input name. In this case, my string is called input name. I am entering that. And then I say something like print char. If you do something like this, then the program is going to ask you to enter a name. I'm going to enter my name, Imad's Microhall. Okay, and then it's going to go over all the characters and then print them one after the other. Now this recording should be over. I will be uploading more recordings in the very near future. So stay tuned and thank you very much.